We will continue from the previous part, where Champingen duet with the knife against the Avatar, or the Black Buddha yesterday, who fought against Motian. Since the knife intervened directly in its human form, Champingen won, and news of the Avatar's defeat reached his master. The Avatar's master immediately became angry and tried to find out who killed his disciple, suspecting that Motian was the culprit since the Avatar had been targeting him. Although Motian was powerful in the god realm, it was believed that he could not defeat the Avatar. However, when an artifact belonging to the Avatar shattered, his master could sense the aura of the knife that killed his disciple, which was so strong that even he would likely die if he tried to retaliate. Therefore, the Avatar's master decided not to seek revenge and instead looked for another disciple rather than risking his own life. Now, let's turn back to Motian, who was returning to his sect called Eternal Sect in the God Realm. He reported to his master, Huang Qinglin, that he had met an expert who disguised himself in the immortal world and helped him overcome his cultivation stagnation and even assisted him in evading the Avatar's attack. At first, Huang Qinglin was not too surprised, thinking that there might be a god emperor disguised in the immortal world who helped Motian. Huang Qinglin himself was one of the strong figures in the god realm, possibly even a god emperor, so he was not too shocked if he heard about a disguised god emperor. However, when Motian mentioned the sword aura that caused a commotion in the god realm previously, Huang Qinglin was intrigued since he had also sensed the aura of the knife and wondered who could emit such a powerful sword aura that could be felt in the god realm. When Motian told him that the sword aura belonged to the expert he met in the immortal world, Huang Qinglin was shocked, especially when Motian mentioned that the expert might come from a higher realm above the god realm and disguised himself in the immortal world. Huang Qinglin was interested and followed Motian to the immortal world to see the expert in person. They arrived just in time for the Secret Realm event, which was a competition for young cultivators and often attended by immortal emperors. Motian mentioned that the expert disguised himself as a participant from the Zhao clan. The head of the Zhao clan, Ban Qiu, had been eagerly waiting for the Secret Realm event, which was why he had been pushing the young cultivators in his clan to improve their cultivation to show off during the event. Long story short, Champingen or Zhou Xian attended the Secret Realm event after receiving many rewards and killing the previous avatar. The event was visited by many people, including many immortal emperors, one of them being immortal emperor Hu Donglai. Shibuzu, who had previously allied with the mysterious book that promised to make him a master in its organization called Pavilion of the Gods, was also present. The book promised that after the Secret Realm event, one cultivator from the organization or sect of Pavilion of the Gods, who came from God Realm, would come down to the immortal world to fetch Buzu as his young master. Buzu could then command the cultivator to do anything, such as killing Zhao Xian or even an immortal emperor. Eventually, the Secret Realm was opened for the tournament, where young cultivators, including Champingen or Zhou Xian, participated and were divided into 3 stages. The first stage was called Gravitational Hill, where they had to quickly climb up a hill with increasing gravity. Champingen could use his heaven and earth power to run to the top, but he was not familiar with the narrow path and the cliffs, so he decided to walk slowly and adapt to the terrain. Yan Gu, Motian's disciple, also participated and approached Zhao Xian, perhaps on his master's orders, to get closer to him. Buzu was in the lead and impressed the audience, while Zhao Xian and Yan Gu took it easy and did not try to win the tournament. This made people underestimate Zhao Xian, but Buzu, who was also from the Zhou clan, was in a completely different position. Immortal Emperor Bei Yuan had previously offered Liu Ping and an unnamed guy to introduce Buzu to his master, hoping to take him as his disciple. Apparently, it really happened here, and one of Immortal Emperor Bei Yuan's disciples was chosen as the number 1 in the tournament. Immortal Emperor Bei Yuan laughed a bit arrogantly because his disciple could win the tournament, even though Du Gu, who was beside him, thought to himself, "Oh well, maybe Bei Yuan doesn't know that Buzu is senior Champingen enemies. If he knew, he wouldn't have chosen him as his disciple." Meanwhile, Immortal Emperor Kan, who was also beside him, was quite disturbed by Bei Yuan's arrogance, so he thought to himself, "How can I strike him? What excuse can I make to punch Bei Yuan? On the other hand, immortal Emperor Yudong saw that Zhao Xian, or Senior Chen, was accompanied by Yin Ji, whose position Dong Lai apparently already knew was from God Realm. Previously, Ma Xian and Yin Ji had approached him for help so that Yin Ji could enter the tournament. So, before Yin Ji participated in the tournament, he came to Yudong Lai to register. At that time, Dong Lai only thought that there might be something they needed to do in the tournament or just for fun. Since he was a creature from the God Realm, why would he participate in the Immortal World Tournament? But Dong Lai did not think that there was a connection between Senior Chen and the creature from the God Realm who followed him, so his view of Senior Chen increased even more because apparently even the creature from the God Realm respected Senior Chen. That means Senior Chen's level was above the God Realm. To make the story short, Chen suddenly decided to use his Tao pattern or heaven and earth power to run as fast as possible towards the summit. Of course, Yin Ji followed Chen Pinggan closely from behind in second place, and at one point, Chen bumped into Buzu, causing him to fall and become even more angry with Zhao Xian. On the other hand, Ma Xian, who came with his master to see it firsthand, was shocked when he saw Zhao Xian using the Tao pattern quite easily. Ma Xian's master, Huang Qinglin, said, "There is no one in this world who can manipulate Tao power as easily as that." So, from then on, Huang Qinglin was convinced that Zhou Xian was an expert who disguised himself in the immortal world. Since Ma Xian had already met or interacted with this expert, it meant that they had indirectly become his pawns and were part of his plan. Therefore, even if they wanted to distance themselves, it was already too late, as they had become Zhou Xian's pawns. So, shortly after that, Ma Xian's master Huang Qinglin also felt the presence of a cultivator from God Realm who was about to come to the immortal world. There was a cultivator who wanted to descend, but they still didn't know whether this cultivator was a friend or foe, coming peacefully or intending to cause trouble. So Huang Qinglin prepared to face this cultivator, whose arrival may have been planned by the expert or Chen Pinggan to handle them. Perhaps that was its function, so they prepared themselves while continuing to observe the situation. On the other hand, Chen Pinggan or Zhao Xian had already reached the second stage, where he had to fight many beasts or monsters in a raging state. There were various kinds of monsters, including a golden lion similar to the one Chen fought in the battle pool yesterday, as well as a gorilla, and many more. When Chen Pinggan killed one of them, he received a level bonus from the system, so his skills increased when he killed one of the monsters. Chen Pinggan slaughtered all the monsters without leaving any for the group of people who eventually arrived at the second stage, including Buzu. After seeing Chen or Zhou Xian single-handedly destroying the second stage, Buzu couldn't stand it and wanted to kill Zhou Xian, but he was still being held back by his mysterious book, as he was waiting for a cultivator from the God Realm he could order to come soon. So, he had to wait until the cultivator arrived. In short, all the stages in the tournament were completed by Chen Pinggan, and he emerged from the secret realm in first place, with a portal leading directly to the Immortal Emperor's place. There, Chen saw Immortal Emperor Yudong Lai, who was a big fan of his from the story he heard from Dubu earlier. So Yudong Lai already knew the true identity behind Zhou Xian, and Chen quickly signaled him not to reveal it there. Yudong Lai understood Chen's signal and greeted him as a young man from the Zhou family. After Zhou Xian's victory, Zhou's clan head Ban Qiu proudly announced that Zhou Xian was the future head of the Zhao clan. So Zhou Xian was recognized and established as the heir to the Zhao family. Therefore, Chen's mission was also completed because, as you may recall, his mission was initially to help Zhou Xian, whose cultivation had been destroyed, achieve his dream of becoming the heir of the Zhou clan. And since Zhou Xian was now officially declared the heir of the Zhao family by Ban Qiu, Chen Pinggan's mission was also successfully completed. And, as usual, he would receive his reward from the system when he was alone and not with many people. So, what about the creature from God Realm that was supposed to come earlier? Not long after that, a cultivator from God Realm appeared, whose aura was so strong that it shocked and frightened the onlookers. They were surprised to see a cultivator from God Realm in the immortal world. Buzu realized that this cultivator was the same one mentioned by the mysterious book earlier, and introduced himself as the young master who was chosen by the mysterious scripture. The cultivator, Zat Tian, approached Buzu and recognized him as the young master. Without delay, Buzu ordered Zat Tian to kill Zhao Xian. He pointed to Zhao Xian, even in front of many people, including the immortal emperors. However, none of the immortal emperors dared to intervene because they thought that Senior Chen could handle the situation, or he might have his own plan. They were afraid that any hasty actions might ruin Senior Chen's plan. Chen himself was surprised that Buzu sought help from a cultivator from God Realm, as he did not expect to have connections with them. Although Chen could teleport to the mortal world or his home, he was afraid that Zat Tian might follow him. The system had warned him that if he was targeted by a cultivator from God Realm, his artifacts might not be able to protect him because their power was still sealed and could not be fully utilized. Chen was confused and looked around until he saw Ma Xia and his master, Huang Qinglin. In a split second, Zat Tian launched an attack on Chen, but it was immediately blocked by Huang Qinglin and Ma Xia, who protected Senior Chen. Zat Tian was surprised to see Huang Qinglin, who was one of the powerful ancestors of the Eternal Sect in God Realm and could not be easily offended. Zat Tian suggested to Buzu to let Zhao Xian go because he was under Huang Qinglin's protection, and they could not fight him easily. Zat Tian compensated Buzu with several spiritual stones and an artifact, which were all kept in a storage ring. Then, Zat Tian bid farewell and took Buzu back to God Realm. Then the compensation that was received earlier was given by Qinglin to Zhou Xian, and their Qinglin asked for Zhou Xian's time to speak privately, while at the same time Zat Tian was shown after arriving at God Realm and was a little upset because apparently the artifact he gave as compensation was quite valuable because it had a soul or could speak like a powerful weapon. So he hurriedly asked for help from his sect master that they lost an artifact that was at the level of Sudogun, almost at the level of a god, and immediately it was tracked down by his master. And apparently the artifact was being played with by the knife, so he shouted for help from his master to immediately retrieve it or save him because he was surrounded by artifacts that were thousands of times stronger than the god level, while the artifact itself was still at the Sudogun level or almost. At the god level, surrounded by artifacts that were thousands of times stronger than god level artifacts, and it was no joke when the artifact shouted for help, it was immediately attacked by the knife and died on the spot, leaving only its physical form which looked like a dagger, but it no longer had a soul like before. Then after that, the knife was able to cut off the connection from the sect master who was peeking through the portal, and the sect master immediately panicked and was afraid because he felt that he had challenged someone who should not be challenged at all, to the point that he thought the red-haired man or the kitchen knife could even flatten their pavilion god organization with just one blow. So they quickly looked for a location to move their organization elsewhere. Then we moved to the other side where Zhou Xian or Chenpingen talked with Qingling and also Immortal Emperor Yudong Lai, where they introduced themselves. Thank you for getting close to Zhao Xian or the senior, and the interesting thing was that Chenpingen didn't find it strange at all because he thought maybe Yudong Lai respected him because he knew him from Shui, while Huang Qinglin knew him from Imo Xian, who he had saved before, so there was nothing strange about it. Then Huang Qinglin also got to know Yudong Lai, because even though he was only an immortal emperor, Dong Lai was a friend of the senior, so Yudong Lai was considered an important person who needed to build a good relationship with Senior Chen's subordinate. In short, Chen then gave them a wedding invitation which will be held in a few days, and here we skip again, where Chen receives a gift from his system for completing his mission to increase his cultivation level as usual. Then skip again to the wedding event with Boss Dewey, which was attended by quite a lot of people. Even the Heavenly Appreciator and Eldering came together with Singbu's grandfather. Interestingly, Singbu's grandfather seemed to have regained his memory and was quite familiar with the Heavenly Appreciator and Eldering. Then there were also artifacts belonging to Chenpingen that could transform into humans, such as the knife, the peach tree, and a sword that came dressed quite neatly, which might remind you of the flashback scene when Chen married Boss Don in the modern world and was also attended by his artifacts, including the knife and the peach tree, which is still a mystery as to how Chenpingen's life was in the modern world. Was he reincarnated many times or what? It is still not explained here. Then the grandfathers of Qinglin, Mo Xian, Yudong Lai, and even grandfather Murong also came, and they were all surprised by the guests who came because none of them were ordinary people, especially Qinglin. Even though he was an ancestor of a sect in God realm, he saw the cultivation of the kitchen knife and he was mentally affected and thought he couldn't possibly reach the cultivation level of the kitchen knife because it was too high. And basically, all the guests who came were shocked because all the people who came were strong cultivators. So, Grandpa Singbu realized that there were many junior cultivators there who were afraid of the strong cultivators, so he at least asked his friend, El Ring, to suppress his aura so as not to scare the juniors. However, El Ring instead shared his cultivation with the juniors there, such as giving some kind of light to their food and telling them that they could become immortals the next day. This was apparently a gift because El Ring was helped with his cultivation techniques by Senior Chenpingen before he lost his memory. So after his wedding party, there was some interesting information that emerged. Miss Wu Lingshu appeared and challenged the kitchen knife to a spar, and at the famous event, they showed the human form of the rooster or phoenix, which I thought was pretty cool. Then there was also the human form of the broom, which was apparently male, and also the teapot, which was previously used by Campingen, which was apparently a female artifact, and they all ran away from there, leaving kitchen knife to take care of Miss Wu Lingshu alone.